Abby, and today I'm going to make English muffins. I learned how to make them by reading this little book about tea at the Ritz. It's really easy to make English muffins, and I hope that you give it a try. I generally mix my ingredients first in a bread maker, and I put them through one cycle of the dough mode. You can do it by hand, but I find that for the texture that I want, it's a lot easier just to let the machine do the work. You can find the recipe on my cooking blog, goodfoodmichigan.blogspot.com. The ingredients and the method will be found when you search English muffins. So what I've done is I've already prepared the dough, and it doesn't take very long to do this, but when it comes out of the bread maker, it's really sticky. So I put it on a floured board, and I use floured hands and a floured knife to cut the dough into 8 portions. It doesn't have to be exact, just make them about the same size. So I take a cookie sheet and I line it with parchment paper, and then I dust it with cornmeal. And I put a pretty good amount of cornmeal on the paper, probably about 2 to 3 tablespoons. And the reason why I do that is because the dough is so sticky, I don't want it to stick to the paper. You could use a board, you don't have to use the paper. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take some cooking spray, and I preheated my griddle at a medium heat for about 10 minutes, so I know it's nice and hot. I can actually feel it. And I'm just going to very lightly spray. You can do this in a skillet. It doesn't have to be on a griddle, but I have it, so I use it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm very carefully going to lift the English muffins. Because I put so much cornmeal on the bottom of the paper, they're going to lift very easily. And I'm going to try to keep them in the shape that I formed them into. What I did is I just rolled them into balls and flattened them down just a bit. I didn't really shape them. And I set them aside with a towel placed over them and let them rise till they were about double in size. And that took about 30 minutes. Didn't have to be a warm place, I just did it in the kitchen counter. So I'll wash off the dough. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to cook these for 10 minutes on one side. Nothing else to be done, so I'll see you later. For about 10 minutes on the griddle, and as you can see, they're beautifully puffy and golden. And I'm going to take a look-see on the bottom. Oh, they're really pretty. And I'm going to flip them over. I use both a pancake turner and a fork when I flip them over because I want to be careful that I don't deflate them. They're really very sturdy, but I don't want to get dents in them. I want them to look really pretty. See how gorgeous they are? I'm going to turn this one over too. So pretty. They're starting to have the fragrance of a freshly baked bread as well. They're going to have to bake now for another 10 minutes on this side. Okay. The thing I want to talk to you about now is the flour. The recipe calls for 1 pound of flour, but I'm a home cook. I don't generally weigh things when I measure my ingredients. I just use a standard measuring cup. Sometimes what happens with this recipe is when it comes out of the bread maker, it's very, very loose. And you pour it onto the flour board and you find that it's just spreading, just like a blob. Something like out of a 50s horror movie. So the thing that I do is I add more flour at that point. I'll add about 1/4 of a cup under and over the dough, and I'll very gently work it into the dough. I'm not kneading it, like giving it a hard push. I'm just very tenderly mixing it into the dough until it holds together and doesn't spread out. From there, I used floured hands, a floured knife, and I cut it into 4 pieces. And at the point that that it actually can be handled without spreading, I know that it has enough flour in it. The English muffins have been baking for 10 minutes on each side, and they're done. So I'm taking them off the skillet. And at this point, you can cool them on a wire rack and put them in the refrigerator and just keep them cold until it's time to use them. What I do is I like to fork split my English muffins, and this is how I do it. Just take the tines of a fork and I push it in all around the circumference of the muffin, and then I pull it apart. You can see it's beautifully craggy. Now what happens with an English muffin is it has to be toasted again. So you can do this in a toaster oven. I'm just going to put mine back on the griddle because it's still hot. I'll do that one more time. Mark and I are going to have these for our lunch. When they're cooler, you won't get this little knob and dough. Okay, there it is. This on here. I still have the griddle set at a medium heat, which would be about 350 degrees. But I'm toasting them, so I can bring that up to almost as high as the griddle will go. And we'll just leave them there to toast. Usually takes, 2 minutes in a toaster, about the same amount of time on the griddle. I'm going to cool these off before I put them in a bag and chill them until I'm ready to use them for another meal.
Okay, so we're done.